a nation forged expansion and industry in early America. The United States, a nation founded on ideals of liberty and self-governance, embarked on a remarkable journey to become a global superpower. From its humble beginnings as 13 colonies clinging to the Atlantic coast, the young nation possessed an insatiable appetite for expansion. Fueled by the spirit of manifest destiny, the belief that westward expansion was both inevitable and justified, American pioneers ventured into the vast frontier, displacing Native American tribes and extending the nation's borders to the Pacific Ocean. The 19th century witnessed the transformative power of the Industrial Revolution. Factories sprouted across the land, fueled by abundant natural resources and a growing workforce. The invention of the steam engine, the cotton gin, and the telegraph revolutionized transportation, agriculture, and communication, propelling the United States into an era of unprecedented economic growth. This period of rapid industrialization also saw the rise of powerful corporations and wealthy industrialists. Names like Carnegie, Rockefeller, and Vanderbilt became synonymous with American ingenuity and ambition. The accumulation of wealth and industrial might laid the foundation for the United States to project its power beyond its borders in the decades to come. As the 19th century drew to a close, the United States had firmly established itself as a continental power, its economy booming and its military growing in strength. The stage was set for the nation to emerge as a force to be reckoned with on the world stage. The Spanish-American War would mark a turning point, propelling the United States into the center of global affairs. A rising tide, the Spanish-American War and global emergence. The Spanish-American War, a brief but decisive conflict in 1898, marked a watershed moment in American history. The sinking of the USS Maine in Havana Harbor, though its cause remains a subject of debate, ignited a wave of public outrage and fueled calls for war with Spain. The United States, eager to assert its newfound strength and protect its interests in the Caribbean and Pacific, readily answered the call to arms. The war, lasting only 10 weeks, ended in a decisive victory for the United States. Spain, once a formidable colonial power, was humbled, its empire in ruins. The Treaty of Paris, signed in December 1898, formally ended the conflict and ushered in a new era of American expansionism. The United States gained control of former Spanish colonies, including Puerto Rico, Guam, and the Philippines. The acquisition of these overseas territories marked a significant departure from previous American foreign policy. It signaled the nation's emergence as a global power, with interests extending far beyond its continental borders. The United States, once wary of entangling alliances, had become an empire itself, albeit one with a complex and often contradictory relationship with its new territories. The Spanish-American War also had profound implications for the United States' role in the Pacific. The annexation of Hawaii, strategically located in the heart of the Pacific Ocean, provided the U.S. Navy with a vital refueling and repair station, strengthening its presence in the region. This increased influence in the Pacific would have far-reaching consequences in the decades to come, particularly as tensions rose with Japan in the lead-up to World War II. The arsenal of democracy, World War II and its aftermath. The outbreak of World War II in Europe in 1939 presented the United States with a profound challenge. The specter of fascism, with its inherent threat to democracy and freedom, loomed large. Yet, deeply scarred by the experience of World War I, the American public initially favored a policy of isolationism, hesitant to become entangled in another European conflict. However, the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor on December 7, 1941, shattered any illusions of neutrality. The United States, its Pacific fleet devastated, was thrust into the global conflict. The nation's industrial might, fueled by a wave of patriotism and a determination to defeat tyranny, transformed the United States into the arsenal of democracy. From the beaches of Normandy to the islands of the Pacific, American soldiers, sailors, and airmen fought with valor and sacrifice. The war effort demanded unprecedented cooperation between government, industry, and the American people. Women entered the workforce in record numbers, filling vital roles in factories and shipyards. The war's end in 1945 left Europe in ruins and the global order in shambles. The United States, though victorious, emerged from the conflict forever changed. The nation, once hesitant to embrace a leading role on the world stage, now stood as a superpower, its military and economic might unmatched. The Iron Curtain falls, a world divided by ideology. The ashes of World War II gave rise to a new global order, one defined by the rivalry between two superpowers, the United States and the Soviet Union. The ideological divide between the capitalist West, championed by the United States, and the communist East, led by the Soviet Union, cast a long shadow over international relations for decades to come. This rivalry, known as the Cold War, was a multifaceted conflict characterized by political maneuvering, economic competition, and the ever-present threat of nuclear annihilation. The United States, guided by the Truman Doctrine, pledged to support free peoples who are resisting attempted subjugation by armed minorities or by outside pressures. This doctrine, rooted in the belief that the spread of communism posed an existential threat to the United States and its allies, laid the foundation for the policy of containment, a cornerstone of American foreign policy throughout the Cold War. The United States, through a combination of military alliances, economic aid, and covert operations, sought to prevent the further expansion of Soviet influence. The Cold War was a period of both tension and uneasy coexistence. The two superpowers, armed with vast nuclear arsenals, engaged in a perilous arms race, developing ever more destructive weapons. Proxy wars fought in Korea, Vietnam, and elsewhere became tragic battlegrounds in the struggle for ideological supremacy. Section 5. The price of freedom, containment, and global interventions. The Cold War transformed the United States into a global policeman, intervening in conflicts across the globe in the name of containing communism. The Korean War, a brutal conflict that erupted in 1950, marked the first major test of containment. American troops, fighting under the banner of the United Nations, helped repel the North Korean invasion of South Korea, though the war ended in a stalemate. The Vietnam War, a protracted and deeply divisive conflict that engulfed Southeast Asia, became a defining moment of the Cold War era. The United States, seeking to prevent the communist North Vietnamese from overrunning South Vietnam, became mired in a costly and ultimately futile war that deeply divided the American public. Beyond Korea and Vietnam, the United States intervened in numerous other conflicts, both directly and indirectly. From Latin America to Africa to the Middle East, the United States supported governments and rebel groups alike, often prioritizing the fight against communism over the promotion of democracy and human rights. These interventions, while often justified in the name of national security and the fight against communism, came at a high cost. American soldiers paid the ultimate price on distant battlefields, and the United States faced criticism for its role in propping up authoritarian regimes and interfering in the internal affairs of sovereign nations. Section 6. A unipolar world, the post-Cold War era. The fall of the Berlin Wall in 1989 and the subsequent collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991 marked the end of the Cold War and the dawn of a new era. The United States, having emerged from the Cold War as the sole remaining superpower, found itself in an unfamiliar position, that of a unipolar power with unrivaled military, economic, and cultural influence. The post-Cold War world presented both opportunities and challenges. With the Soviet Union gone, the United States sought to promote democracy and free markets around the globe, often through organizations like the United Nations and the World Trade Organization. Military interventions such as the Gulf War in 1991 and the intervention in Kosovo in 1999 demonstrated the United States' willingness to use its military might to achieve its foreign policy objectives. However, the post-Cold War world also proved to be more complex and unpredictable than many had anticipated. New threats, such as terrorism and the proliferation of weapons of mass destruction, emerged. The rise of China as an economic and military power presented a new challenge to American hegemony. Section 7. Navigating a complex world, the 21st century and beyond. The 21st century ushered in an era of unprecedented global interconnectedness, driven by advances in technology, communication, and transportation. The rise of the internet and social media connected people across borders like never before, creating both opportunities for collaboration and new avenues for conflict. The terrorist attacks of September 11, 2001, shook the United States to its core, marking a turning point in American history. The attacks carried out by the terrorist group Al-Qaeda exposed the vulnerability of even the most powerful nation to the threat of terrorism. The United States, under the leadership of President George W. Bush, launched the War on Terror, invading Afghanistan and toppling the Taliban regime, which had harbored Al-Qaeda. The War on Terror expanded to Iraq in 2003, with the US-led invasion toppling Saddam Hussein's regime. The Iraq War, highly controversial from its inception, proved to be a costly and divisive conflict both for the United States and for Iraq. The war and its aftermath highlighted the complexities of intervention in the 21st century as well as the limits of American power. The global financial crisis of 2008, triggered by the collapse of the subprime mortgage market in the United States, had far-reaching consequences for the global economy. The crisis, the worst since the Great Depression, underscored the interconnectedness of the global financial system and the importance of international cooperation in addressing economic challenges. Section 8, Shifting Sands, the future of American power. As the United States navigates the complexities of the 21st century, questions about the future of American power remain at the forefront of global affairs. The rise of China, both economically and militarily, presents perhaps the most significant challenge to American hegemony since the end of the Cold War. China's growing economic might, coupled with its expanding military capabilities, has led some to predict a shift in the global balance of power from west to east. The United States also faces challenges from within. Political polarization, economic inequality, and social divisions have tested the fabric of American democracy in recent years. The rise of populism, both at home and abroad, reflects a growing disillusionment with traditional political institutions and a desire for change. Despite these challenges, the United States remains a formidable power with unmatched military capabilities, a dynamic economy, and a vibrant civil society. The future of American power will depend on the nation's ability to adapt to a rapidly changing world, to address its internal divisions, and to forge a new vision for its role in global affairs. The United States, once a beacon of hope for those seeking freedom and opportunity, must now grapple with the legacy of its past actions, both at home and abroad. The nation's future and its place in the world will be shaped by the choices it makes in the years to come.